Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to move my camera over a tiny bit. There we go. How's everybody doing today? I'll give everybody a minute. Hey Carrie, how are you doing? Hi Rosie. It's a little bit of a cooler day today in Calgary, so it's a good day to stay in, do some crafting. I can always justify staying in to do crafting. Yes, Sandy, it is chilly. Even Erica went outside and she's usually up for anything. She's been scootering like crazy and she said, I had to come in, I'm too cold. Hey Stacy. But I guess that's spring in Calgary, and then we'll have some warm weather, I'm sure, in a couple days. Carrie, Vicky's new line is beautiful, isn't it? It's so nice and bright, and I've got some of the cocoa vanilla and then some of, I actually liked both of these together. The color study, yeah, I know, poor kid, eh? She has got to get outside, that kid. So she did get around the block. Hey Tamara, how are you doing? All right. Let's have a look at, I'm gonna try and get everybody's comments. I may sit down a little bit today. Did something to my back yesterday, so I have been trying to just take it easy. So usually I stand up and look through my camera. Let's see. Okay. Let's have, this is a look at the layout. I'd put together a little layout, and then Sandy mentioned she got the crayons in, and I thought let's try the crayons too. And I know there's been a lot of talk about the crayons and people wondering how they work, and so I just really played around with them. So I thought we'll do that today, and then we'll put a quick little layout and we'll use the crayons a little bit on the layout. And I will also show you this Sunkissed collection with cocoa vanilla. It's beautiful. So let's move this here. I know the kit of the month was using this, and Sandy said I think she's got one single kit available still. But there are the collection kit, so that is available, I believe, still in the store. That comes with this sticker, so if you have a look, you'll be able to see exactly what's in the store right now. It's the Sunkissed collection. I think Simple Stories actually has a new line that's called the same thing, but it looks very different. And these ones are puffy stickers and ephemera. I do believe the ephemera is sold out, but there are lots of other odds and ends in this Sunkissed collection. And like I said, I think it mixes really well with the Vicki Boutin color study line. So I would look at both of them if you like this bright kind of fun rainbow colors. Have a look at both of them. I really plan to mix and match them this month. Or not just this month, but I plan to mix and match them. And they have lots of fun elements. So right now, this is what I have in front of me, the sticker that comes with the collection kit. In the collection kit, you get 16 double-sided papers. They're 12 by 12, and then you get your sticker sheet. Thanks, Rosie, for linking that. I'll just give you a little look at the papers in this. And I really love too how Cocoa Vanilla has so many beautiful ideas for using their line on their Instagram and their blog. That's really a great way to get lots of ideas for using the products in ways that you may not think about it. So I'll just give you a quick look at each of these papers. The colors are so nice and bright. Yeah, it is gorgeous. And it's beautiful for summer. And we also have a rainbow challenge this month over in our Scrap Shotz group. And so we wanted everybody to share their project that has rainbows in it. So if you're making anything, you can share over there. But if you want to join in the challenge, then these are fun collections to use in that. Really love this paper here. And I think as well there's separate papers that you can get in the shop. So if you find that you really love this and you want a couple extra of that, you can do that. The stars are always beautiful. I think these would be great for birthdays as well, and I think the rainbows you can use for anything. Oh, there's one more here. So that's the back, which is really nice blue. And then this is really pretty here with the different colors. And a lot of the collections you'll find, those are the same, will go together. And you can use them with some past collections if you have Cocoa Vanilla or you like them. So we'll put this to the side. We'll look at the crayons and then we'll pop this layout together just to show you how easy you can put it. Yeah, the papers are available individually. So if there's just certain ones that you want, you can pick those up. So the gel crayons, you get 9 in the pack. So there's a black. Here, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Hey, Jenny. And let's put this under here. So there's black, red, a dark blue. So you get the rainbow colors. Of course, we should put them in rainbow color order, right? An orange, there's no color name listed on them. A yellow, green, a light blue, the dark blue, a purple, a pink, hey Lorraine, and a black. So you get your full range of rainbow colors. I'm going to kind of show you what I've done here. Now, playing around with them, I'm sure there are lots of other ways as well that you can use them. I looked at some videos. I couldn't find anything with the gel crayons, but with other art mediums, and I just thought I'm gonna try them and see what I like. I did find that I really liked having a gessoed background. So I've got some clear gesso, and this is the Dina Wakley clear gesso, and I found that the crayons moved around a lot easier, and I'll show you the difference, but I did want to show you how easy it is to gesso this. So this clear gesso is in the store. I'm sure that Vicki will demo them soon, and I'm excited to see that and see if she does some different techniques. So I've seen lots of people use like a clear gesso just to give something for the crayon or medium to move around on. Otherwise it kind of sticks. So we'll do this one. And it all depends on the effect you're you are looking for. So all I'm doing is smudging it on. It's just like a really thin kind of like a layer. You can get white gesso as well. I think that the collage medium that Tim Holtz has would work too. I don't have any of that. This is the new Tim Holtz brayer. And I did see that the small one is available right now in the store. And I think the small one would be really handy to have on hand. And so all I did was simply put a thin layer. I didn't use very much. And I did my other papers. We'll leave this one without any, but you can tell the difference because the ones you can't see anything, but the ones that you have the gesso on feels a little bit rougher. Hey, Michelle. Yeah, you getting some flurries as well? And then you can just wipe off your brayer. So it's really easy. If you wanted to use these on a scrapbook page and have kind of a watercolor look in the background, I would totally do this on a scrapbook page. You can't tell where it is because it's clear, but you're definitely going to be able to notice the difference when you start applying your medium. So we'll put this one aside because that one's still a little bit wet. So let's come out a little bit here. So if you're just trying them out, and I think trying them out is the most important thing, because, see you, Michelle, thanks for popping in. Then you get used to how you like to use them, what you like to do. Multitasker, yeah, or multi-talker or tasker, yeah, both. So if you rub them on, it's going on like kind of a creamy consistency. And here we've got it on the paper that's not gessoed. So you can rub it with your finger, and it rubs a little bit. It does move around a bit. This is on the piece of paper that doesn't have the gesso. You're not going to get as much movement. Let's see here. I'm going to get a little bit of, I have a paintbrush here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of water in this cup. So I'm just using an old paintbrush. Here, let's move this here. I'm just dipping it in a little bit. And let's also, I'm just going to grab a paper towel. Okay, so I don't have a lot, like it's not dripping with water. I just have a little bit. So on our surface that's not gessoed, it does move a bit, but you're definitely, so it's still, you're still getting pigment that moves around. You do have that main spot where we put down the color. Even if we put a little bit more water, that's not really going to move around. And this is just about experimenting and seeing what works. You can see how lovely that moves around just because you have that gesso, and it's so quick and easy to do that I think I would much rather do this. Now, if you absolutely didn't have anything and you wanted to get something that was close to that, that's when I would go to the side of, you know, this is just on my craft mat, and get your pigment on there and then pick it up. And it will go on, you can kind of control it a little bit better. You can still do it on here, but it's definitely darker when you apply it directly to that gessoed surface, right? And you can go over it again. You can dry it and then do some more. So I do like the gessoed surface. Okay. Now, let me see here. Oh, I did some swatches. I think swatching things is important because that, again, just gives you an idea of how it works. So here, this was just a Stamp Market stamp that I had, which was cute. So I stamped it on. This was a gessoed piece of paper, and this was a little stamp. So I colored on the stamp, and we'll do that in a second. Then this one I applied the medium directly to, and this one I did the medium off to the side and watercolored it in each color, just so I could get an idea of how it reacted and what colors I was going to end up with. So you can kind of see you've got a nice range of colors there. And then I decided to do some mixing. So you can definitely mix these colors. And we've got some fun, like I did red and orange, and then we did an orangey yellow, and you can see how these compare to our originals. You can as well go back. So let me see. These I did last night, and they're not really moving too much now. They're a little bit, but I'd say you still have lots of open time, but now they're pretty much on there. But I like kind of making this greeny yellow color and then the more of a blue green. And then we've got more of a bluish purple and a dark purple. That's kind of a coral effect. And then I only did one with the black, but you could go in and add a little bit of black to each color. Thanks, Lorraine. And definitely achieve like a darker version, which I think is great. That would be really a fun thing to do, and I'll probably go back and swatch those and add that little bit of dark black to each color just to get another darker color, another shade. Then I've got texture paste. So this is the Ranger texture paste, and this one I think is in the store as well, or the distressed texture paste, and they're the same. So this is just the matte paste, and I actually put it right over the paper and let it dry. And this paper I did not actually, they are water-based, Sheila. They are the Vicki Boutin Gel Crayons. They're the new ones that have just come out. And just before I explain this, so you've got the crayon that's inside, and then you can actually turn, I think you can turn, yeah, you can turn it to go up or down to bring more color out of this tube. So this here, I didn't actually gesso the background. Yeah, no problem. So I thought this was pretty cool because it did go on really neat. I really liked the effect. So let's go in a little bit, and so all I did was color over top. And I'm not pressing hard, I'm just pressing lightly, and it's grabbing some of that color. And then I smudged it with my finger. So you could totally just leave it like that if you wanted that effect, which I think is cool. Or you can go over it, and then I just dipped this in the water. And as soon as I brought it over, I think because there was lots of pigment that the texture paste grabbed, it really creates this really nice bright color. And I was able to dissolve the little bits of the crayon, seemed to dissolve really nicely. And I can spread that out as much as I wanted. So I could just make this like an ombre and keep bringing this down, or because you're still going to get color for a bit. And this was just on plain white cardstock. Or I did it with each rainbow color here. So I really like that. I think that was a really cool, neat effect. And I did that with there's two of the new stencils from her color study line. This one is the fresh stencils, and it was this, which I think was very cool. And then there's the other, I think it's called Bubbles, and they really have some really cool stencils in them as well. I love the price point of these stencils. It's like $8.50 for 3 stencils, and I always love Vicki stencils. So this one here, I was just kind of fooling around, and like I said, you just need to play with this stuff. I may not ever use this background, or I may die cut something out of this, and it's okay if you don't use it, if you throw it away. If you kind of have ideas of what to do after you play with it, that's the main thing. So here, actually, yeah, let's grab this is our gessoed piece, and I'll kind of show you what I did with this. So this was blending color into a watercolor. I just scribbled on the background. And even if you go over colors, you're not contaminating. If you get a little tiny bit on your crayon, I wouldn't even worry about that. But if you were, you could simply just wipe it off and it just rubs off. And if we wanted to add some yellow too, we can add some yellow. I like that the yellow is really nice and bright. So to create this watercolor, you can either add water with your paintbrush, or here's my spray bottle. Here, let's do a little area where hey Jennifer, where we do it with the spray bottle. Because I think this is really fun too, is spraying it and moving that color around. I think I would still go in and kind of move it a little bit. And then you can just add a little more water if you want it to run a little bit, and you can set that aside. It's going to dry really nicely, or you can take your heat gun and you can dry that as well. But I love how you can still see the colors. They are starting to mix. You could definitely let that dry and then go over top. So if we took this piece here that we already did, it's dried, it's not really moving around too much. Let's see how it looks if we put a little bit of blue on the background. So it's mixing a little tiny bit. You can tell because it's almost like a little bit of a greeny blue, but it's not completely mixing. And then we can get that kind of fun watercolor look. And I like how those always dry with the watercolor effect. So that's your watercolor, I don't know, what do we call that? Your watercolor blobs. Okay, we are going to set that over here so I don't set something in it. Okay, this one here was the Crackle paste. The Distress texture paste in the Crackle, not the matte. And so you put that on the same way through the stencil. So this one was this in that fresh stencil collection as well. Love the lines. And I put that on, let it dry. It doesn't take very long to let dry. And then you're doing the same kind of thing. And I don't know that I would use this particular background because there's a lot going on right there, but it kind of gave me an idea of what the colors look like and how they went on with the Crackle, and I really like the Crackle look. So again, the same as that texture paste, I'm just rubbing it in. And I think you could do this with any kind of paste. And then wetting the paintbrush, and it just sticks into those cracks, which is really neat. Even if you just applied that Crackle paste to your, kind of smooshed it on over your background, that would be cool. And then added your crayon in, then you're going to get that effect where it sticks into the cracks. If you had like a brick stencil or something and used the black on it, that would look really cool too. So that one is the Crackle paste. Then this one here, we'll grab a new piece. So let me come out a little bit for this. Okay, I have a piece of acetate here. So just a clear piece of plastic. You could use some plastic packaging if you wanted. And I'm just gonna put it here so you can see. To do the kissing technique background, you're just going to scribble directly on your acetate sheet or your packaging. Then I'm adding some water. You could spray a little bit, but I don't want a ton of water. So we've got it on the background. It's light, but we can go back and add more after. And you can do some drips on there. And then to do that kissing technique, you're just dabbing it and moving it around your background. And then what I like to do here, I've got a little piece of watercolor. Every time I dabbed on a color on this background, I made, this is my party background. So if I had leftover pieces, I rubbed it on the watercolor, and watercolor is going to really absorb that color, and made this little party background, which I think is fun. It's just a more subtle background, but it has a bunch of different colors, and it's a little bit different technique than this more flowing kissing technique. So we can go in, we've got blue on there. How about we could do, let's do some purple. And you don't need a lot of water. I'm just moving that around. And you can dry this in between if you want. I'm not too worried if it's picking up a little bit. If we wanted to add some more color, kind of go back and add a little bit more color to have a bigger spot, we can do that too. And then we can put it on our party background. I don't know, because I think it looks like a party. So let's add a bigger amount of the purple, so we have a bigger splotch. I really like purple. I think there's a lot of people who don't like doing purple, but I think it goes with a lot. So I'm pressing this in a little bit here to get a little bit bigger spot. And then adding some around. So if you feel like your paper needs a little bit extra, you can definitely go back and put more on. So you could keep going and put on whatever colors you want. I think you could even, I'd go in maybe with some black. I'd let that dry a little bit, but I think that's fun. And then you can keep just adding to that. When you have leftovers on your background, just dab it in, and then you've got this really fun background piece. This was just one where I played around the same as we did here, just adding colors and seeing how they mix. And again, I wouldn't use this specifically on a background, but I would totally die cut a word out of it. I think that would be cool, or use a strip of it. This is some stamping, which is fun. So there's 2 new stamps as well in her line. And again, I think the price point is just fantastic. So this one here, I think is called It's All Good. And then the other one maybe is called Hello. I think it has a hello, but if you are looking for them in the store, you'll see under the color study line. And last week we actually made a card and we cut 2 flowers out. And sorry, Virginia. Poor Virginia, she can't get into Facebook. She'll have to catch the replay. So we did some fun things. So go back and look at that if you want to have a look at the stamps. And in order to do the stamp coloring, what I found was the best. Okay, I'll get my block. I found if I wet the background a little bit, so I'm just lightly dipping my finger into the water. I don't want it super wet, it's just damp, and I'm just rubbing a little bit of dampness. I may put a little bit of extra water, but when I was first trying to stamp, I found that it wasn't rubbing onto my stamp until I added the water. So once I added a little bit of water, I found it grabbed it a little bit more, and you may have to play around with what works. Okay, so I have a piece of watercolor paper here. That's what I used there, but let's also try it on some regular paper. And I also think, the nature of kind of the watercolor mixed media image look, you don't have to have it perfect. So I actually went over these a couple times, and it didn't matter that they weren't exactly in the right spot. So I'm going to, off to the side, I'm just going to really lightly in the air mist with water and over the stamp. I don't want to spray it this close and have a lot of puddles of water. So I'm just getting a light mist, and we'll see how that works. We may need some more water. And then just press it down. It actually worked pretty well. So it gives just a really nice effect. So we can mist it again. This may be too light. Well, we still did get a nice impression though. And we can go back over it. And it's got some water already on there, so we'll see how that does. And that you actually get a little bit of that border. How's everybody doing? Maybe I do see, I just got another notice that someone is, their Facebook is down. Can you guys still see? Maybe give me a thumbs up. I still see that 30 people are on. Who knows? Okay, that's just spritzing with water and another layer. Can anybody see? I'm hoping that you guys can still all see it. I'm not seeing any thumbs up or anything. Okay, I'm gonna keep going because I think hopefully it will at least save the video. So then this is another stamping, and you could just keep going. Well, I may be just doing this for myself, but we'll see. All right, we're gonna wipe this off. Whoops. I don't know, when Facebook goes down, you have to wonder about the world, hey? And I'm not seeing anybody. So I am, let's see. I'm just gonna pause here for a second. Oh, good. Okay. Okay, good, Lorraine. Thank you. You're still watching. So hopefully you guys can still see stuff. Okay, then we're going to go over with our orange. So I wiped the green off. And we'll write on that, we'll scribble on there. And just kind of go back and forth if you think it's dry, add a little bit of water. You can add some more color. Adding the crayon into water definitely won't hurt it. And then you can do another layer over top, which I think is super cool. This would be great for a wreath too. I think this leaf. So whether you're working on the watercolor background or the regular gessoed paper, they both look great. All right, so that is stamping with your color. What you can also do, we'll just do that quickly. Maybe we'll try that with a black because I feel like I'm ignoring the black. We're gonna add a little bit of water onto the crayon on the craft sheet, and we're gonna dip this in, and let's see. I have a feeling that we'll get more of a watercolored look and less of a defined look. Yeah, so that's just your really watery look, which is cool too. But I think I definitely like coloring directly on the stamp. I feel like you get a much more defined look. And then this is water-based, so you just wipe it off. And yeah, all these, any kind of stamp I think that has a little bit more solid would work really well. And then if you want to do something like watercoloring, you can take some ink that is formulated okay to work with water. It's not going to run. I do like the Gina K, and I like and sorry, I'm not seeing any comments at all, so I'll have to go back and look at comments. Hopefully you guys can still see. So I really like the Gina K, and I like the Pink Fresh, and I'm not sure what we have in the store. I'd say they are very comparable. The Gina K is a little bit, it says obsidian black now, but is the same thing. So you just stamp on your paper directly. And then we're going to use I'm just going to use a water brush because it's a little bit more of a fine brush. And I'm going to scribble right on my craft mat. And then you can just pick up your color with your brush and add it directly to, so you get a really nice effect by watercoloring that right on there. And of course, if you add more water, so I forgot to fill mine up, so I'm just going to dip it into the water. Then you're going to get a more diluted look. And this is where we can go ahead and mix colors. So if you wanted, again, that to be a little bit darker, then you can add your color. We'll add a little bit of black and just see what we get. See how that darkens it up, and we just added a little bit. We can try even a little bit more. So if you wanted to go around your edges with the darker, you could do that. And then we can add some over here. And I'm just doing some really loose watercoloring. I'm not worrying about going too crazy. We're just kind of having fun with this. Also, if you have a lot of water, you can touch your paintbrush to your to a paper towel to take off a little bit extra if you feel like you have too much. Okay, we're just gonna keep going with this watercoloring. And then you get that watercolory kind of painty look by doing the layers. And sometimes I find you have to, like if you do it and then just step aside or step away and let it dry a little bit. Add a little bit of yellow. I have a feeling that everybody's having Facebook issues because I do see the numbers changing, but I still can't see anyone's comments. So you could come back and add a few more layers afterwards. And then that just wipes up off your craft sheet. But if you didn't have a craft sheet, you can scribble on an acrylic block, or you can scribble on the acetate. So that's a fun way to add color as well. If you wanted, if you have any of the clear or iridescent or white pastes, you can add a little bit of those pastes. So this one is the Glacier paste. This is the Nouveau Winter White. Let's actually do this. And then this one here is one of the Opal Blaze polishes. So this one is Gilded Avocado, but there's several of the colors and they come in either these pots or a tube. And if you find that your blaze is thick and doesn't seem to be as smooth, just spray a bunch of liquid in there, leave it overnight, and it's totally fine. So if we wanted to mix in this green, I'm just going to add a little bit of water and then mix it in. And I don't know if you can see how shimmery this is, but I'll try and hold this up. And it's beautiful. It adds this real gorgeous color to that. And then if we did, so that's the Winter White here. We'll try it with the light blue, and maybe we'll put a bit of the dark blue in as well. I'm just rinsing off my paintbrush. And then we'll mix that in. And oh, that's nice too. So this, the Winter White, you're not going to have the color of the undertone color like you do with the Blaze, but either is beautiful. I really like that. So you could watercolor in your images with that as well. And if we have our acetate piece, and we can put a little bit more water on that. And this is what I'm saying about this little party background. You just go in and pick up your extra, or you can simply dab your piece in and you're just adding to your background, but you've got a little bit of some shimmery shine on there. Okay. Then, oh, this was fun here. So using the stencils, I found this brush. I know Vicki Boutin has like a similar but larger brush that she uses, which is really cool. I just found this in my stash. I don't know, I think I've had it forever, but so if I grab a piece, this is our gessoed paper, but you could just use plain with this because we are just doing some fun stenciling. So if we go ahead and we take, let's see, let's use the pink. I feel like we haven't used the pink. So we'll scribble on. And again, I cannot see anyone's comments because I think Facebook is doing something crazy. So if you do have a comment, feel free to leave it and I'll go back and check them after. So there's a couple different things you can do with your crayons. You can put the, oh, I see a heart. The hearts are back. I'm just adding the color, grabbing it with the brush, and rubbing it directly over my stencil. You're going to get a really light effect. And I find the pigment in the pink is quite light, which is fine. It's just a lighter color. Then if we wanted to go in with some purple, and we're just picking that up on the brush, and I'm fine if it mixes with the pink. So this, you're getting just a really light effect. I used the dark blue on this one up here. Then you can come back, so depending on the colors you use, you can combine colors. Then, what did I do here, Mr. Brush? We're going to put a little bit of color here. And before I actually do that, I'm going to add a little bit of, before I add the blue in, I'm going to add a little bit of water just so you can see the difference. So I'm wetting the brush, and it definitely picks up more of that color. That's just with wetting your brush and your mat. So if you want a more intense watercolory look, then you're just going to wet it. And you can definitely go over top, so we can, our brush is a little bit wet from water we put on it, but it's not super wet. So just by adjusting how much water, you're going to be able to adjust the effect. But that would be just a really soft effect you could add in the background. And then if we added a little bit of water, and this just cleans up really easily on your brushes or your stencils because it's water-based and it just wipes right off. And then the color really does go really far. So I even like those layered. I think they're really fun. And then again, we can just go in with our little party background and pick up that extra color. You can just dip your paintbrush in and wipe it off, and it's going to wipe off. You can also do some splatters with this. So if you have, I'm actually going to do a little bit of black splattering on that layout. So I'm adding a little bit of water from my cup, watering down that color, and then you can go in and add some splatters. So if you want it darker, of course, you're going to add more. And if you had a finer paintbrush, then you're going to get finer splatters. So if we took this one and the smaller paintbrush, you are going to get the smaller splatters. So just depending on the effect. I like black and white splatters. I think they add a lot. So I'm actually really glad that there's a black crayon in here. I think it just adds a lot. But that's cool. I do like that effect. And then the last technique that I had here was embossing. So if you have, there's lots of fun embossing folders. This is the Coffee Flower embossing folder, Creative Expressions, I think it is. They have a bunch of different embossing folders. So this was the black that I did on here. So first, well, let's do the black and then we'll add in a different color. The same as we did on the texture paste background, I just colored over it. Let's actually put this on and do it at the same time. So then if you use your finger, you could totally just leave it like that. I think I actually like this effect. I think it's really cool. Or you take your paintbrush and then go over top and create that watercolored painted look. So you've got several different looks that you can use. Which I think all are cool, but I kind of really like that look where you just color over it and then smooth it out with your finger. And this is not gessoed, this is just plain paper. So those are the techniques for the gel crayons. So we'll move those out of the way. And I'm gonna wipe my fingers off, but you can see like it just wipes right off. There's nothing that really stays on. So I think they definitely are really, really versatile. There's definitely lots that you can do with those. And lots of different backgrounds and effects. Oh, and I had grabbed a black piece of cardstock and just wanted to kind of show you on black. They don't really, like, they're not really something that shows up too much. You get a little bit of color, especially with the brighter colors. But then what I found, if I watercolored those, they just became really translucent. But you could definitely add some onto the background and just smooth it with your finger if you wanted an effect. And it's kind of cool. Or if you embossed some dark cardstock and then added it, that would look neat as well. Okay, let's move those off to the side. And I just wanted to, because we had this rainbow challenge, I figured we'd just do a really quick little layout. It is going to be quick and easy, just to show you how quick you can put something together. You've got the background with the cocoa vanilla. I wanted to add a few black and maybe some blue splatters. So we're scribbling on. Just moving these over a bit. Adding a few splatters at the top. A few at the bottom. Okay, we will just dry that very quickly. Because we don't want to smudge it, usually I would just set it aside to dry. And I'm going to try not to smudge it, but I'm probably going to smudge it. Okay, so we've got our little splatters on. I cut this piece of paper down to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 probably, just to fit a mat. I'm gonna see if I can come out a little bit here. I've got this art glitter glue, which I love using, whether I'm scrapbooking or card making. And I found these summer pictures from 2016, which seems so long ago when I look at how small my kids were. Okay, I'm gonna glue that on. I'm just going to do a real simple grid design. I actually started out by looking at the Creative Scrapbooker Sketchy Challenge for April, and this is what it turned into, and it looks nothing like the sketch. But sometimes if you're not sure where you want to start and you look at a sketch and it might give you kind of an idea, but when you start laying your photos out, you think, oh, I think this goes better there. Just go with it. It gets you scrapbooking and using your papers. And I probably should use a ruler, but I'm not. And I think these are some of the most fun layouts that I have, or the layouts that I have the most fun with. I just kind of go for it and lay things down and don't overthink them. I love the background. This is the cut apart sheet, but the background is so pretty with those daisies. Okay, so we've got those on. Let's see here. We've got some foam tape. So we're gonna stick this is a piece of the ephemera. So like I said, the kit this month, I believe, had ephemera and puffy stickers. The kits are so great. But this just kind of gives you a look. I don't think that the ephemera is in the shop right now, just because it sold out really quickly. But if you have, like, there's a ton as well of the color study stickers and ephemera. And like I said, they coordinate really nice. So you can use those together. So we're gonna put this little banner here. And this is a little cloud piece. And then I thought this sticker from the sticker sheet from that collection pack would look cute. Can put that on there, and maybe we'll put a little bit of foam tape. When I'm trying to find pieces that work, or papers that work, or places to put ephemera, if I find something that works, I usually just go with it and try to move on, because I think there's so many possibilities that if you try to decide on all the possibilities that might work, it's almost overwhelming. So usually if I find something and I think, oh, I like that there, then I just go with it. And I'm just actually trying to decide if there was a stamp that I wanted to stamp before I stuck that down. But I think I will, you know what I actually like is I'm going to stamp the It's All Good, but I want to take off the foam tape before I do that. So that's easy, and we'll do that. So if you think in layers, in terms of layers, and if you've got flat stickers and stamps, you can do those first and then pop up any ephemera or put on puffy stickers. Okay, so we've got our little stamp there. I like that. And we'll put our piece of foam tape back on and stick that there. And just by layering a few things, it just makes such a difference. We've got these fun little stickers. So we could stick on a heart. And I think there's some puffy stickers in the Vicki Boutin ones as well that are really cute. So there's that. And I'm just seeing if there's any other stamps I want. You could totally just leave it at this. You could also stamp and cut out some flowers from some of the backgrounds that we did, like using that watercolored look. That would totally be fun. I think there was a watercolored piece in here, yeah. So if we stamped this on, I'm just kind of playing around now. And as well, like I don't have a lot of supplies here. I have those crayons, the stamp and stencil set, the Sunkissed collection, and a few other things, but that's kind of it. So I almost have my own little kit of stuff here, and then I'm making a few different backgrounds, or and I'm pulling from that. Just gonna grab a pair of scissors. These are actually really easy to fussy cut, and then when you're fussy cutting, you just want to move your scissors or move your paper instead of your scissors, and it really is easy. But again, with the look of this mixed media look, I honestly don't think you have to be super fussy. It's going to look great. Okay, so we've got this pretty little flower, and you could even go and cut out a bunch of flowers, but I'm just going to cut out one. I think there's a lot of places you could put it. I kind of like creating a triangle, so whether I have a few embellishments up here, and then I've got over here, and then I probably need something down here. So I'm actually going to cut this in half. And when I put my pictures on, I try to leave a little bit that's not just a little bit of space, so that if I want to tuck something else in, I can. And then we can add this up here. So that just kind of brings that element down, and then Let's see. There's lots of fun things. I love this. I think this cut out and put on, it doesn't fit here right now, but on a page would look really cool, or even this little tab, that would look really great. I love those splats. And we're just going to do one little stamping of this little star. Again, I don't have any colored ink right here, but we can just add a little bit of color with our crayons. I'm just dabbing those on, and then we'll give a little bit of water. And that's pretty cool, hey? That little star. We can do that down at the bottom too. I don't think there's any more. The puffy stickers are really cute. There is some words. Oh, I moved my little flower, so we might have to just stick a little piece of ephemera on there. There, we'll put that there. And we'll stick a couple more puffy stickers and then we're done. So the Rainbow Challenge is on for the whole month over in the Scrap Shotz paper crafting group, and we would love to see your take on that. And I'm just kind of holding up these to see what I like. The flower. We'll do the flower. So you can share your projects, and Judy was our winner from last month. Congratulations. Stick that there. And then we love to see what you're working on. We are also going to have some upcoming news for a crop coming up for National Scrapbook Day, so definitely stay tuned for that. That's going to be fun. I think that's good. I don't think we want that on there. We could, you know what? I think we're good. So there you go. We're done. And last February crop, we had lots of fun challenges. So this one's going to be really fun as well. We're just working out the details, and then you guys will hear about what's going to be all involved with that. So hopefully that's shown you some good ideas about using these crayons. You can find them in the store as well as the Cocoa Vanilla collection and the Vicki Boutin Color Study line. There's lots of goodies in the shop. Thank you guys for the hearts. And again, sorry I can't see your comments, but I will go back and have a look, and if there's anything you're wondering, please let us know and we can help you out. But thank you so much for crafting with me. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and hope you guys get some time for crafting on the weekend. And I will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.